turns the mic on. But, and of course, that is going to be in the way. Figures. I don't know if there's anything I can do about that without screwing things up. Okay. Hopefully, everybody can hear me. This is already getting off to a wonderful start. Good evening, Track Gang, and welcome to Sidetrack Sunday number 2 for November 2024. That was to be November the 10th, 2024. And this is going to be, as I've been, as I was explaining a little bit through the chat and even in the description, this stream is going to be a little bit different. It's just the way this. Now you can see the other. Oh well, dag nabbit. I'm trying a different rig here because I want to show something eventually. We're going to get there. But this one here, I'm going to try to keep this stream a little bit more structured than maybe what we're used to. We'll see how that plays out. Obviously, we all know that these streams, there's a reason as to why we call it Sidetrack Sunday, and that's because of the fact that we never stay on track. But it is what it is. Hopefully, everybody's having a good evening. Like I said, it's I know I know JD. Yeah, good luck with that. Yeah, Anthony Dodge just came in. Oh no, are you sick? That's great, Tammy and Ray. That's actually, it's not too far from the truth, but hey, I did have to go out actually yesterday I went outside and mulched up a bunch of the leaves from the trees in the backyard, and well, my sinuses have not been happy the last 24 hours or so. So yeah, I am a little under the weather, but we're going to push through this and we're going to get this done because let me go ahead and we're going to start off with going into the participants list. And I know earlier in the day, I do believe it was, who was it? Was it Kyle that was the first one in? I believe it was. Mr. Kyle Stevens was the first one in, but he gets the cookie. And then I think Lynn was the second one in and, kind of went from there. But anyway, okay, so we've got our participants list up. We've got Mr. Almar. We've got Opa Dodge over at the Model Train Outsider. We've got Dave over at the Carolina Foothills. We've got Dan's Model Railroading Journey. We've got James over at the Dundas Junction Model Railroad. We've got JD over at Grandpa Rails. We've got Andy, the hot dog pilot, in the house. We've got Rodney, Hot Rod Rodney 25 in the house. We got Mr. Joe Rader over at the Black Rock Central. We've got Mr. John Benacki. We've got Mr. John Polson. And then we've got Mr. Dwight over at the Curly Express. Then we've got Lynn McCurdy over at the HDMMRC. And then we've got the Midsummer Railway N Scale in the house. We've got Tammy and Ray over at Mom and Son Train Rail Fans. We've got Rusty down at the Possum Bayou. We've got myself, although I'm not 100% certain I'm here, but we'll go with it. We've got Mr. Ron Moen. We've got John number 2 over at the Schuylkill River Valley. We've got Mr. Dave over at Sparky 107. We've got Thomas's Trains. And then always in the caboose, we've got Wag Workshop, Mr. Steve. So thank you all for jumping in. I'm glad that you all are here. I do appreciate you all hanging out with me for however long. Hey, Dwayne's Fork and Spoon is in the house. I don't think I called him out. So, but yeah, it is what it is. As most of you know, we've had a rough week. With losing Beethoven, our 14-year-old Border Collie Australian Shepherd mix last Sunday. It definitely put a damper on things. I really wasn't even, You're only here for the free pizza. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Dave. So things have been a little bit rough for us. We're still adjusting. Obviously, we've still got Emma. She is actually down here, I think, laying down someplace. She was just here a little bit ago. So, hey, Dave from DB Tech is in the house. So, James is looking for a large. I would imagine that's a large pizza. Okay. All right. So, anyway, as you all know, we've got folks in here that have a wrench and that there are blue. And those are my moderators that are hopefully here to keep me on track and to keep you all in line, which I know never happens. So why bother, right? Yeah, I know, Rodney. Yeah, he he's still watching us. He's still watching us. Hey, Ed over at Happy Valley Hobbies, welcome in. So yeah, it's like I said, it's been an adjustment. There's no question. So we gave up trying to keep Ray in line. Thanks, John. Appreciate the support there, buddy. Nice. Sounds good. I'll look forward to that. Todd Armstrong, Trackside Action. Welcome in, sir. So anyway, what did I want to get into tonight? And like I said, I'm hoping that this works. I'm not so certain it's going to. My computer is already telling me that the CPU is at 100%, and I haven't even started doing what I want to do. So this is going to get a little bit interesting. Anywho. So let's see if I can do this without causing my computer to absolutely take a complete dump on me here. Oh, happy birthday to your ma there, Kyle. All right. So what we're going to do here. Hey, Penn Studios, new. Oh, AKA Rail Artist. Gotcha. You changed your name. Okay, got it. Got it. Got it. So we are going to. Where we go. There we go. Let's see if this is going to work without dumping everything. All right, cool. It looks like it popped up. So that's a good thing. That's a good start. What's my CPU? Oh, my CPU usage went back down. Nice. Okay, good. So we're not killing the computer. Okay. With tomorrow being Veterans Day, I'm going to try to shrink this down a little bit because it's a bit of a. My uncle passed away yesterday and sat in. Oh, sorry to hear that, Rodney. So hopefully you all can see what I'm presenting. This is a picture of my dad. My dad and myself were both in the Navy. Hey, JJ, Great Northern Railway, welcome in. My dad was actually in the Navy during the Cuban crisis, stationed out of. Yeah, I can. I'm pretty sure, Ed, that at one point I could probably cook eggs on there. So, but anyway, getting back to my dad, and I'm going to get a little bit more into this in a minute. And actually, you know what? I'm going to back up just 1 second because one of the things the reason why I wanted to swap days with Nissy was, as you all know, Ron from Classic Model Trains lost his dad. I guess it's been about 2 months ago, give or take. And he was talking about him and actually did a little bit of a gosh darn it, my brain is not working. He did a little bit of an honor to him at the end of his one stream there, or the one video that he put together right after his dad passed. And it got me to thinking, here it is. My dad unfortunately passed away back in 1997. I was 27 years old when he passed. And he had a huge influence on the model railroading as I know it now. Valley's 56, welcome in. And him and a friend of his at work, one of his co-worker, really, a fellow by the name of Rick Meadall, when he came over to the house, because my dad had kept talking about the trains, and he had talked to Rick about it. He's like, I'd love to come see it. Well, when he came over, he looked at my dad, he looked at me and said, okay, so you've got a toy. He says, I tell you what, next weekend, you come up to my house, I'll show you a model railroad. And he was actually, and Opa Dodge, if you're still here and you're listening, he was modeling Europe. I specifically think that he was originally from Czechoslovakia. And the trains that he had on his railroad were very unique. And I was talking to Opa Dodge about this a while back. One of the things was years and years ago, going back when I was growing up, my dad had gotten a hold of American magazine. And I fell in love with their steam locomotives, the European or the German steam locomotives, because they look so much different than the steam engines and the steam locomotives that we had over here. And I kept telling myself, one of these days, my dad kept telling me, you can't run that on our railroad. It won't run over here. It won't run over here. And now that I've seen Opa Dodge's railroad, I understand why they wouldn't work over here, because I believe, well, his, I think, was two rail. He was two rail DC, or analog, as Opa Dodge likes to put it. And I do believe he actually did bring over one of his and put it on our railroad and ran it around for a little bit, which was cool. I mean, it was really neat to see the little steam locomotive sitting next to my 282. So it was definitely, giant versus this little, but his railroad took up half a garage, and it was basically just a huge loop with elevations and little towns and things of that nature. He hadn't seen it yet, but he had all the track down, some of the buildings in place, so on and so forth. And we became good friends. And, I basically he turned around and sent a lot of we're going to go ahead and I'm going to date myself here a little bit. He sent over a bunch of VHS tapes that he had acquired. And he made copies, or he had copies of, from the model railroader layout tour number 1 and number 4, which, if I'm not mistaken, I believe one of those. No, that's right. That came later. I know that Laurel Joyner was in on that. Obviously, Malcolm Furlow. There was quite a few others. Dave Frary. What the heck was the fellow that did the Ohio Southern? Those guys. And I just became fascinated with the hobby from that standpoint, because we all talked about, growing up, it was just a train that went around in circles with a whole bunch of little, buildings, and we just kind of put stuff wherever. There was no purpose to it. So anyway, back to my dad. My dad served in the Navy from 61 to 64. He was stationed out of Norfolk on a auxiliary oiler, AO 56. And during the Cuban crisis, their thing was they would leave in the morning, go out, fuel up the destroyers and the cruisers that were headed down the coast. And that night they would come back into port, refuel themselves, and go back out the next day and do it again. And they did that for like a week. So, at any rate, he was a radarman, or as it became when I was in the service, an operations specialist, or an OS. So that was his picture from when he was actually on, or a part of the deck group and he was actually on a 5-inch 54. And this is when they actually got their efficiency badge. So that was kind of cool. There's a much larger picture. I kind of zoomed it in just on Dad. So, hey, Das Faulkner, welcome in. So anyway, the next one here, I'm going to go over it. Now, this picture is going to be probably a little bit tough to see. This was taken, I believe, in the mid 80s. My dad, eventually it's going to switch. Eventually it switched over here, but I'm not sure if it switched for everybody else, but anyway. So I'm waiting for StreamYard and all to catch up here a little bit. For whatever reason, it's not showing the picture. That's interesting, and I don't know why that is. All right, well, let me try doing this. Let me stop the screen share and then re-share. That's probably why. I need to. That's it. There we go. Hopefully now. There we go. There we go. Cool. All right. So this picture was of my dad in the mid 80s, I believe. Might be even been the early 90s. My dad sold electrical test equipment. That's what he did. So Sparky did this. This was kind of up your alley. He sold meters that were made by Fluke, Simpson. What the heck was the other company that he sold for? I think it was a company called Beckman, Hewlett Packard, Tektronix. There was a bunch of them. And that's what he did for a living. He sold electrical test equipment, oscilloscopes, things of that nature. So hopefully it doesn't look too bad on the screen share, actually. But yeah, that was taken in the, like I said, the mid to late 80s. So he would have been, he would have been in his mid to late 40s. So. But anyway, that was my dad, and his birthday was actually yesterday, or would have been yesterday. Heathkit was another one. Yes, he also sold stuff. Amprobe. I don't know if anybody in here would be familiar with Amprobe. Amprobe was another big one. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones that he did, but yeah, Heathkit was. He actually did a lot of stuff with Heathkit. He actually, when he came out of the service, he worked for a company down here called Pytronics, and he was a bench tech, doing bench repair, and that's what he learned how to do that. Hey, Attila, he learned how to do that, and it just kind of blossomed into he didn't like being at the bench all the time, and he wanted to do something different. So he became a salesman, and he had worked for a whole bunch of different, yes, Tektronix was there in Portland. Yes, it was. But he sold test equipment for a whole bunch of different companies. His favorite though to sell for, and he would have told you, would have been Fluke. In fact, I've still got 2 of the meters that he had bought for himself. Or I don't know if he bought both of them or if one of them was given to him and he bought the other one. But that Fluke 97 that you see me running around with, that was his. And I try to take very good care of that meter. B&K was another company. So, but yes. Anywho, so that was my dad. And like I said, his birthday was yesterday. He would have been 82. So it is what it is. And it looks like the screen share might actually work now. Now, we had talked about, I think it was like a couple of Sidetrack Sundays ago that I did. And I talked about my dad's boat. Nice. Yeah, well, unfortunately, by the time I got in, the PT boats were long gone. Went to work for Gray Bar. Funny story. One of my dad's friends used to work for Gray Bar years ago. So yeah. Yeah, Emma, I think, was down here. She's actually behind me. Wait a minute. There she is. There she is. Emma girl. There's the M's. Yeah, there's the M's. Yeah, that's okay. Until I understand, and that's kind of what this is. Kind of getting into, because my dad's birthday would have been yesterday. He would have been 82, and we, like I said, where I was going. Yes, she is. She has not been. She has really not been herself, to say the least. But she's doing okay. She's doing all right. So anyway, what I was saying before is I had gone back and I had talked about my dad's boat, and it just so happened I found some pictures of my dad's boat. Now, funny story here. Obviously, this is the stern. This was taken again back in the 1980s, and we couldn't keep the boat on land for any length of time. It was made out of oak and African fir, and it had a bad tendency of what they called opening up. So the longer it stayed on land, the worse it got. So my dad was USMC during World War II. I was in the Navy Marine Corps during the last. Dad died in 90. Yeah, I'm sure he was. Speaking of going back a little bit, my grandfather, my mom's dad, was actually in during World War II in Korea. He was an Army medic. And then he went to work, and he got out and he went to work for Bendix. So he was actually a part of the space program. Down here, they were working on the radar and tracking systems. So yeah, until you had to keep it, you had to keep it moist. Anyway, the boat was built by a carpenter back in 1947-48, and my dad and my grandfather were actually the third owners. But the boat was 32 foot long, and it was based off of a 1946 16-foot mahogany Chris Craft. And it was a heavy boat. Heavy boat. We figured when they went to pick this thing up, they picked it up with a 15-ton lift, and it was creaking. So we figured the boat probably weighed about 13 tons. It was 8.5 feet wide, 32 foot long, and just an absolute beast. It had a 1948 Chrysler Crown Straight 6 in it. So, but we had it up on land. We were doing maintenance. My grandfather's car is in the background, which is another story. But yeah, this thing was just a beast. But unfortunately, I'm going to back up just a second. And after I got out of the service in 1992, I went to electronics school in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania for 2 years. While I was up there, I lost my mom's mom. We lost my dad's dad. When I came back to home, and of course they were all living with us at one point. When I came back home and I started working in 1995, we found out that my dad had cancer. Or actually, it was early 96. We found out that my dad had cancer. And unfortunately, when my dad's mom found out that her only son had cancer, she passed away in November of 96. My dad passed away in January of 97. But anyway, in August of 96, I went down to check on the boat just like I usually would. And one of the guys that lived down there was like, "Hey, I was getting ready to call you because the bilge pump's just been running all the time." He said, "It's not stopping." It was 32 foot. Anyway, so I go on board and I noticed that one of the, it was leaking. I could see where it was leaking from. So I go ahead and I grab the coffee can with the cotton caulking that we had and the knife, and I sat there and started, dropping this into the seam, and it didn't stop it. And in fact, it didn't even really slow it down. And I'm like, that's a little odd. So I put a little more in. Still wasn't slowing it down. So I started feeling around and then put my finger through the bottom of the boat. And I reached around the corner into a drawer that we had, and I actually found a cork of all things. I don't know why there was a cork in that drawer, but there was. I went ahead and put that in the hole. And then, of course, then I had to break the news to my dad. As soon as I called him, and of course, he's in the hospital. As soon as I called him and he heard my voice, he said, "Okay, what's wrong with the boat?" And that was a tough conversation to tell my dad, who wasn't doing well, that his boat was sinking. And he told me, he said, "Get a hold of the marina owner, get them to pull it." I'm like, "Dad," he says, "get them to pull it. It's done." And I'm like, "Okay." So we had the boat pulled, and it sat there until the spring of 97, when I had the county come pick it up and take it to have it disposed of, unfortunately. So the boat, unfortunately, no longer exists. But this here was a picture that year after we got finished working on it, was on land of the last two pictures. This here was a picture. Of course, my dad's back here. My mom's there. Yeah, she was a beaut. She certainly was a beaut. And I've still got the helm. I've got the navigation lights. I salvaged the name off the back. I salvaged the registration plates off the boat. The only thing I didn't get chance to pull out was the motor. But, it is what it is. But yeah, she was a beast, to say the least. So I'm gonna stop. It was in Baltimore. Yeah, this area here where this picture was taken was in an area called Galloway Creek. The marina no longer exists. The marina was sold probably about 10 years ago, and for the last 8 years, there was a battle over putting houses or putting condominiums on it, which they finally ended up doing. So the marina, unfortunately, is long gone. So, yeah, I'm going to stop sharing the screen. Looks a bit like the SS Minnow. Yeah, to a point. To a point. So, Ed brings up an interesting thing here. So, let me go ahead and get these pictures closed. A minute. Yes, I do, Penn. I live not too far from there, about an hour ish from Annapolis. I'm actually north of Baltimore City, just on the outside of 695, in an area called Towson. Where did you get the wine bottle? Yeah, then so. Anywho, I am going to attempt to switch cameras. This has been an interesting little. All right, good. That worked. Now, what I want to do is that didn't work. All right, well, we'll go back to that. Let's see here. We'll go back here a minute because I need to figure out what's going on with this. Oh, I know what. Okay. That's what happened. Okay. Cool. Yep, that's where I'm at. I'm out in Towson. Well, if you're familiar with Towson, if you know where the Hampton Mansion is, I'm right around the corner from it. All right, so we've got the absolutely. You can hit me up via email. My email is on my about page if you're on the computer. So yeah, absolutely, Penn. Absolutely. All right. So somebody was just asking, and this actually did come up in the one live stream or that I did a while back, and I know that for some stupid reason the camera has been flickering, and I don't understand why. Okay. Now this box says no, you're in the Boble Mansion. No, not quite. Not quite. Now I'm in a rancher that's right around the corner from the mansion. Let's see if I can get this camera to straighten out here a little bit. There we go. All right. Well, at least it ain't flickering. Anyway, this is what I was talking about. On that other live stream that years ago I had bought because I saw the picture. I'm going to slide this over a little bit. There we go. And I saw the picture of the boat and was like, man, that is really, really close to what my dad's boat looked like. And now obviously it doesn't have the sail and so on and so forth, but the window arrangement, the length, the whole 9 yards. This is actually 3/4 of an inch to a foot. And when I saw this, I was like, I got to have it. I have got to buy this and build a model of my dad's boat. And my plan is I actually bought this. Right after school in 82 or 83, which means I was about 13 years old. And that was a long time ago, considering the fact in January I hit the double nickel. So anyway, I bought it and I had my grandfather come over one day and I told him, I said, look, I said, there's something I need you to do for me. And he's like, what's that? I says, can you take this down to your house and hide it? I says, because I want to build it for Dad and I don't want him to know about it. He's like, okay, we could do that. So him and I basically had a plan that him and I were going to work on this. My grandfather and I were going to work on this thing and we were going to get it together for my dad's birthday that fall. Well, this is as far as I got. I had also planned on motorizing this thing at one point, and thus the reason why there's this. This here was actually for the rudder. This is obviously a very incomplete project. And unfortunately, over the years, it has lost parts. And I'm kind of hoping that those parts are still in the box, but I don't know if they are or not. No, one of my followers, Big John, him and I were talking Friday night after bowling, and I told him I had an issue with my other computer. Too low on the camera. Is that better? I don't know how much more I can adjust it, but we'll go with it. We'll go with it, Ed. How about that? So, and of course, another piece just fell off while I was trying to move it from the desk next to me to over to here. So, no, I hope not. I hope not until you're seeing my face and not the camera. You know what? It would help if I did that. All right, let me back up a minute before I show that. So here's the box. And of course, now the camera is going to flake out. But so that's a picture of what the boat is supposed to look like that was in this box. This is a Midwest Products company which I don't even think is in business anymore. This is supposed to be the model of a Maine lobster boat. And I don't know why this camera is flaking out like that. I really, really don't. I don't know if it's got to do with not sure why it's doing that, folks. Hopefully when I actually bring what's left of the boat back over here. There we go. So that's it. At one point in time, I had both sides, the what they call the chine on both sides. I don't know what happened to the one set of chines. This side's there. This side's not. Now, you have to remember at like 12 or 13 years old, I had never built anything like this before. Literally, I had never built anything kit-wise except for a couple of cars. And of course, you know, those were plastic, so they were a little bit different to mess with. This thing is a Craftsman kit. You know, we talk about Craftsman kits all the time, and that's what this is. And I had never messed with anything like this, so it kind of stalled out. You know, we never got it done. And then, you know, I went off into the service, and I actually did show my dad what we were working on, and he kind of laughed and was like, "Yeah, you bit off a little bit more than you could chew, didn't you?" Yeah, I did. But it was a learning experience. So, yeah, I'm still working on it now. I'm at not 65, 55. Jeez, don't make me any older than I already feel, Sparky. Come on, man. So eventually I will get back to this. I don't know when. You know, I would like to get it done at some point, but I have no idea when that's going to be. The railroad is more important to me at this point, obviously. And you know, I'll get there. I'll play around with this thing at some point. I might show it. Maybe I won't. I don't know. We'll see. But like I said, I mean, this thing. Oh, there's the top. There's the stern. What's left of that? Oh, there's the other chine boards. Woohoo! So I've still got all the parts. I had actually, well, of course, the glues no more good. So that's a good sign. I mean, this box hasn't been opened in, I don't even want to venture a guess at this point. This is probably the first time this box has been opened in, I don't know, 40 years. So, Ambroid, it looks like. The glue, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the glue was. Non-sniffable. Yeah, well, so much for that. It was some sort of wood glue is what that was. I'm going to go ahead and put the other part of the stern in there so I don't lose it. But, you know, the thing of it is they also gave you plans. I mean, too bad Rick the Tree isn't here. There we go. So, yeah. Piece of cake. Right, Andy. Sure it is. Like I said, one of these days I'll get the gumption up to mess with this thing again. I just don't know when that's going to be. I really, really don't know when that's going to be. Yeah, it hasn't been open since the last time. You're right, Rodney. Those are not from Walthers. Nope. Oh, no. Oh, no. And it'll be a neat project if I ever get back around to it. You know, like I said, I've got other projects that I want to get into, and I got things that I want to work on the railroad, and that to me right now is the priority, is getting some stuff done. I gave mine away. What did you give away, James? I didn't quite catch what James gave away, but James gave away something. I missed that one. All right, let me get this thing off the desk and let me get back over to this. Here we go. Hey. Oh, your model of a wooden boat. Got it. Got it. Let me move this over here so I can do that. So we can do that. So. Ed. Would you quit reading my mind? You're going to need JJ, you're going to need a bigger boat. It's funny you should mention that, Ed, because one of the thoughts that I've had, and I actually had taken some measurements, and I know how big to make it. I've actually thought about making an HO scale version of my dad's boat, which would obviously take a lot less time than trying to build this thing. So, that's a possibility. Now, if anybody's familiar, Athearn actually at one point, and I think it actually may have come from Penline or somebody else, actually has, and I've got one, a 40-foot boxcar with a boat on it, which is a lot smaller than what my dad's would have been. 3D printed. See, now, dude, you're taking the fun out of it. James? No, I don't want to build it. There goes Emma. I got photobombed. I don't want to 3D print it. To me, it would be a lot more meaningful to actually build it by hand. Now, what do you build it out of, right? I don't know yet. Like I said, I took some measurements somewhere on one of these wonderful index cards. I've got the dimensions of that boat in HO scale. That's one thing. The other thing that actually came up, or that I've had in the back of my head, now it would be a little bit past. You can do it. Member of the HDMM, okay. Scratch built two battleships and 2 aircraft carriers, mostly from wood. Yeah, and I've seen what that guy did, dude, and that is insane. I would love to see it in person. One of the other things that I've been thinking about doing now, here's a major undertaking, and it would be a little bit past my era, at least for the railroad. Is I would like to build a replica of the ship that I was on. The Oliver Hazard Perry class FFGs. Now they've got them. They don't make them in HO scale. They make them in much larger scale. But the thing is that ship was 495 foot long. So you're talking in HO scale, that's around 5 feet. That's a big model. That is a huge model. Now, I could take a slightly different route, as some people have done in other parts, and go ahead and selectively compress it to where it's not 5 foot, make it maybe 4 or 3.5 feet. That could possibly be done. But again, you need the time, you need to come up with all the different idiosyncrasies on it. So that one there might be a bit of a stretch. But building my dad's boat in HO scale, I think is doable. And as some folks have been putting in here, coffee stirs, that could be something. There was somebody else that said something about popsicle sticks. That's another possibility. And thank you, Penn Hills. Penn Studio. I do appreciate that. Yeah, I know exactly, Lynn. Exactly. The Arizona is 9 feet and the Carrier is 10 feet. Exactly what I'm getting at. They're huge. Well, there goes the damn bridge. Well, if you all have followed, for those that have followed me for a while, one of the side projects, I wouldn't say side projects, but one of the things that I want to do after I get some scenery work done, mainly on the dam, which I actually, needless to say, with everything that's been going on, I haven't done anything with the railroad at all. I did the Caboose Challenge. That was right before Beethoven passed. And the night before he passed, I actually did the Boxcar Challenge, which is actually sitting on the computer here waiting to be edited up so I can get that out. But one of the things that I want to do, one of the expansion projects that I want to do, is build a dry dock, quote unquote, marine scene over near where the bar sits. But that's, like I said, that's a ways down the road. I want to get better part of the main layout done first. I want to get some of the things that need to be fixed. Those that came over here in October for the train show know that I've got some issues that I have to take care of on the railroad that are up underneath the city of Beauville. And I want to try and that's the reason why I'm working on the scenery a bit. I want to get down to downtown Beauville, and I have to pull it apart to be able to fix the problems. Pardon me. My sinuses are driving me nuts. Yeah, don't forget about the house on the hill. Yeah, that's another project that just took an absolute side seat, didn't it, JD? I mean, here it is. That was over a year ago, and I haven't done it. Should put some of the house guests to work. But I want to get up underneath of Beauville. I've got one of the curved turnouts that I found out. Oh, I don't know. It's been probably 6-8 months ago. I actually found out that the rail joints that are leaving it, for whatever reason, they're not making good contact, and you can actually see sparks. And of course, the train doesn't run through there, so you have to kind of help it along. So I have to take downtown Beauville up to get to it. It's one of the bad things about building that second level on the railroad. So I really didn't leave myself enough space to be able to get in there without taking things apart. So, I've got to get in there and mess with that. I'll do that at some point. The big thing right now for me, though, is I want to get scenery done around the dam. And then once that's done, then I can start focusing in on some of the other issues and some of the other things that I want to work on. So, but yeah, that's kind of where we're at with this. So in the description, I had asked if there was anybody that was an influence or a mentor to your model railroading, who that was. Hey, Jason, welcome in. The Train Freak is in the house. So who was the person that you looked up to when you were building your railroad, or that you looked up to as you wanted to build a railroad? And you can just go ahead and leave the name in the chat, whoever it may be. So, you know, like I said, it was my dad and that fellow Rick, and then, you know, watching a lot of the old school guys, as it were, Malcolm Furlow and such, you know, with the stuff that they did, you know. But I'm going to go ahead and put this out to the chat. Who was your influence? Who was? Thanks, Sparky. Bill McKean Models. Okay. Sounds good. And I saw somebody say their dad. Yep. Got it. My wife will let me spend the money. I had a great Uncle Earl that had a display that took up his whole living room every Christmas. There you go. Sparky was my mentor. Joe Ritter says his dad. All right. Who else? Come on. Casey Jones made me do it. The biggest influence was your dad. Yep. Let's see. Lynn's got one down here. Jason Jensen, then Heath, and then Heath. Boy, you're in trouble if you're following Heath. No, I'm only kidding, Lynn. We all blame Heath, but you need, yeah. Grew up, my uncle George Pearson had a 3-car garage full of HO. Later in life, was with White Towers, and gotcha. All right. Rodney says his dad. It seems like a lot of us. We're looking at the dad. Myself through all my screw ups. Hey, Jason, you probably haven't made as many as I have, but that's beside the point. Old Mr. Carson and my stepdad, my late friend Bill Cox, got me into fine detailing. There you go. Who else? Anybody else got anybody? Anybody? You know, one of the guys that fascinates the heck out of me, and I haven't had a chance to get over to see his empire, and I want to do it soon because I know he's getting up in age, and that's Howard Zane. And I know he's literally around the corner. Ed says his dad and his great uncle Lou. Al says, I had no one but always built models and got into train set. Rest is history. Yep. Lionel. All right. But, you know, like I said, or was saying, I'd love to be able to. Russ is rocking O and HO trains. My dad a little, but mostly it was the local MMR club. Got it. So many articles, podcast videos have all been really started with Ryan Anderson and his podcast before he passed. Gotcha. Didn't see anything from you, Penhead. I'm not sure if I missed it or not, but we were looking at who was the mentor, who got you started in the model trains or in the trains period. I was just going back through the comments to make sure I didn't miss something. The Great Gazoo. Oh my gosh. Leave it to Sparky. Glad you're back there, Pen. Anyway, nice. But like I was saying, I mean, I've seen pictures of Howard Zinn and the stuff that he's done, and I'm just amazed. I've got to get over there and see that in person. That one, and the other railroad that I'd like to see in person is the Franklin and South Manchester. What he's done up there is just absolutely incredible. So Penn was saying, for me, just fell into it as a kid. There you go. Sparky saying, never really had any of my life, but when I was a kid, loved Conrail and went with it. There you go. John Benacki is saying John Allen. Oh yeah, going way back, going to the guys that started all this. You know, that they turned us in from railroad modelers into model railroaders. You know, the John Allen and what the heck was the other one? Oh, who was the other guy? Daggone it. Yeah, it sucks getting old. Yeah, I hear you, Rodney. I hear you. Malcolm Furlow, there you go. Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we just lost him last year. Yeah, he was incredible with the stuff that George Sellios, that's the Franklin of South Manchester. I still want to see that railroad. David Pop, absolutely. Absolutely. Too bad we didn't have YouTube in the 70s. Ain't that the truth? No, John Armstrong. There we go. Thank you, Bob. Appreciate that. That's who I was. I was thinking Armstrong, but couldn't think of the guy's first name. Could not think of it to think of the first name. No lie, Richard. I'm not even going to try to say that last name. And welcome in, by the way, Bob, over at PK&W. Good to see you. Yeah, I mean, we've all had those people, and you know what, Sparky, that is, I have to see how things are going. There's been some other changes, and that's the reason why I've been a little out of the realm the last couple of weeks. I haven't been doing the videos like I normally do because I've been a little bit busy. Some things have changed, so I can't get into it yet because it's nothing official. So, but you know, it's a good thing, but I can't say anything about it because it's not official. So, you know, once it becomes official, then we'll talk. My father-in-law bought my son a Tyco set. I can say that was my start. There you go. Ellen McClellan's V&O. That, I'm not sure how many people in here are on Facebook, but his son still has the V&O up, and I don't know if Ted Heimball is actually out there or not. I know Ted, who's another local modeler down here, models of Western Maryland, has some of the Virginian and Ohio stuff. So, hey, Ron over at the Southwest West Railroad, welcome in, sir. Ray's wife working. No. Well, I'm doing that, but there's some other things going on. Let's see. John Paulson, Whitney Towers showed me how to. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, I'm hoping, like I said, I got to see how things are going. I'm hoping maybe I can make Amherst this year. But, you know, I don't know. We'll be posting more come springtime. Right now, the railroad is in boxes and the trailer. Need the trailer for storage for the move we just made. City to the country. Gotcha, Penn. We'll keep an eye out for them, man. We'll keep an eye out for them. Absolutely. Absolutely. She asked my faves. I said, cars and model train. She said, pick one. And later she wished it had been cars. I remember when I started in 72, everything ran like crap, noisy, and had to constantly tinker with it to keep it going. Brass tracks sucked too. Yeah. I have no idea how I ended up with trains growing up. I always had, I always been around aviation. Yeah, there we go. Oh, I worked at that. Ray asked to expand the basement. No, 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 no. Take it easy, Dan. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate it. Well, the thing of it is if anybody has actually been here and actually knows me, I'm running a mix of both. Tony Custer. I tell you what, that man, that's another one that I tell you what, he has got. I've followed, and if you remember when I rebuilt my bridge, I went ahead and took a piece out of what a friend of his had done with their bridge by putting in that C channel or U channel, whatever you want to call it. That was that was a page out of his book. Amherst is up in the air, requires employment first. I hear you, Ed. Let's see. Russin Rockin'. Let's see. It's true. I started with trying 00 brass track and never keep it clean. Wire around the rheostats, transformers. We get so hot, had to shut them off. Yeah. I had a choice between model trains or flying. Ron, I do run PRR, and I do have a little bit of New York Central. I don't have New York Central passenger cars, but I do have a New York Central locomotive on the railroad. That's a great one there, Bob. Who will we influence? And I tell you what, one person, and they're actually in this chat. There's a bunch of them, to be perfectly honest. Anybody that's in this chat has influenced me one way or the other. John Knopfel, welcome in. But there was one person that's in this chat that kept, and I'm sure he's wishing he hadn't now, but he kept pushing me to do live streams, and that would be Sparky. Without his pushing me to do this, I wouldn't have been doing this for, what has it been, 4 years now? If I influence anyone, I'm sorry. No, to be perfectly honest, we definitely are influencing each other with what we do for what it is. Whether it be scenery, whether it be locomotive maintenance, whether it be track laying, whether it be buildings. And, everybody has got their own way to tackle the beast. And it's one of those funny things that I've always heard is the fact that if you walked into a room, and this is true of basically anything, really, if you walked into a room of 10 model railroaders and asked a question, you're going to get 10 different answers. It's just the way it is because of the way that we do things. Everybody has their own way of handling different situations, handling how we lay our track, how we build our buildings. A lot of it is straightforward. There's no question. But we all have our own spin on it. And that's what makes this hobby so unique. So, it is what it is. I mean, that's what makes this community so much fun is we can have 10, 15, 20 different outtakes on how to do something. And it's all right. There's no wrong. There's all right. So, but anyway, absolutely. No, I appreciate everybody being in here. Absolutely. For those that don't know, also, I'm coming up on my 10th year being on YouTube. That will happen in December. So, I'm hoping by the time we get there, I'll have something to talk about, but we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I'm looking forward to keeping this going, because to be perfectly honest, we are the future of the hobby, and we have to pass this on, and everybody that's in here. And one of the things that I think is great, and I know that he doesn't get into a whole lot of live streams per se, would be Harrison over at SMT. Here's a young man who goes out and messes around with the stuff that I still mess with. The old DC Railroad, the old Tyco and Lifelike and Bachman and so on and so forth. It's great to see a younger person in the hobby, but one isn't going to do it. We need to get more. We need to find more. It was kind of interesting to me. A while back, I took my brother to one of the train shows, and when we got done, he was amazed. He's like, dude, he said, do you realize that better part of the people that were in that train show are older than you are? And I'm like, thanks, dude. I appreciate that. But there were very few young people. The hobby that has shifted. It's getting older, and we need to make it our point to bring in younger audiences. I think that's our big thing. That's who we need to mentor. We need to mentor the young guys and gals. And that's something else that I think is big too. We need to not only mentor the guys, but we need to mentor the gals, because there are some newer female channels that are coming up, and they are just as interesting to watch as we are. There's another one over in there's a newer one, not a newer one, but there's one that I just caught wind of, and I forgot what the name of the channel is. But we definitely need somebody to carry the torch. So anywho, that's it. And that's one of the reasons why I had a whole bunch of, I'm sorry, I picked the wrong one. There we go. That's the reason why a while back when I moved, I had a whole bunch of Model Railroader magazines that I wasn't using anymore. I had no use for them. And I just happened to hit up Frank. I found Frank Neer from the FCSME, the Four County Society of Model Engineers. And he said, give them to us at the train show. He says, we love those. He says, we'll hand them out at Christmas time. And those, again, are the types of things that happen. They hand them off to somebody, get them interested in the hobby. I was Harrison's second follower for yeah. I tell you what, yeah, he's younger than my daughter, and the stuff that he pulls off is incredible. Absolutely incredible. So anyway, North Country Trains and Ours Trains, I think I missed it. There it is. Yep. Are also young adult channels. Okay. I'll have to go check them out. Yeah, absolutely, Rodney. Absolutely. Like I said, there's a new one. I cannot think of what her name is. That I know she's from over. I think she's over in England, but I've caught a couple of hers, and I was like, it's good to see. The switching contest at last year's show, there was more running trains and circles, which you mostly see. All winners were kids. Nice. I can't do clubs too single-minded. I have been a part of two of them. I had been a part of one of them when I was in Charleston, South Carolina. And then I was another one that was up here that was called the Triangle and Western. And, the Triangle and Western's gone. Take it easy, Sparky. Have a good night, bud. No, I've been following Jenny for a while. No, this is somebody new. Or newer. I mean, they've got a large following already, but and I think somebody actually mentioned it. Let me go back up here. Yeah, it's in. I know that they're in Double O. But somebody had mentioned. I think it might be Dawn Quest. That might be it. But like I said, I just caught. They just popped up in my feed the other day. I was like, wow, okay. So no, it wasn't Jenny. Like I said, I've been following Jenny for a little bit now. I used to hop into her Monday streams. I just have Peaches. That's the Peaches of that. She's down south, if I'm not mistaken, but I know she's been up to York a couple of times. Been following that when Peaches trains. Yep, that's another one. But yeah, I think it is Dawn Quest. I think you're right, Andy. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's good. Good to see. Yeah, the Tina Marie, I've been following her for a while over to Mojave. Yeah, Peachy is O-scale. You're right, Rodney. Yeah. But I know that she got last year came up to, I think 2 years in a row she's been up to York. Last club I was in was a bunch of grumps. It's a shame, it's a shame. Working towards my MMR split rock as a mentor for that. I don't know. I haven't been a part of the NMRA for years. It just got to the point where I don't know. I guess I'm gonna have to revisit that at some point. I'm just not into that yet. And I know that there was a couple people that were kind of pushing me when I did the kit bash on that bridge, but like I said, I'm not in that place that I want to be right now, where I think the NMRA is something that I want to get into. Not right now. So, like I said, we'll see how things play out in the future, but right now, that's just not. It's not in the cards. Yeah, each club is different. Isn't that the truth, Ed? It's just like anything else. It's just like anything else. And there you go, Russ. This is it. I've heard about that, Jason. There was actually something that was set up down here starting in October. I was actually thinking about doing it, where they had a list of local railroads, model railroads, and you could actually go and visit them. I was thinking about doing that, having opening up. But one of the things was that they mentioned to me that with the dogs, there's people that are allergic to them and so on and so forth. And I was like, I couldn't put them into a room and have them cooped up like that for 2 or 3 hours. That wasn't going to work. So you do what? Isn't that true? Wait a minute. That one. Do what you want when you want to do it, if you want to do it. Yeah, it's pretty much one of the mottos that I go by, Penn, is, that's the reason why this thing is I got this railroad to the point where it runs, and then everything else just kind of stopped. Here it is. Anybody that I know you're somewhat new here, but anybody that's followed me for a while knows that I've been messing with the scenery around the dam scene, which you can't see from here. But the dam scene, I've been working on that for like 9 months now. And, yeah, that's true, Jason. It's true. I don't know. And and you're right, Joe. The dogs are dog now, but the dogs are my family. That's it. Yeah. Ain't that the truth? But, so yeah, it is what it is. Well, it's almost 9:15, and I'm about done. Like I said, I've been a little under the weather. Oh, I'm sorry, Rail Artist. I keep forgetting you changed your name. Rail Artist. I'm sorry. Hey, by the way, anybody that doesn't know, Penn Studio was Rail Artist. Now, if they're allergic to my fishing. My rabbit collected entrance tolls. That sounds like Beethoven and Emma. now Emma. I'm sorry. Oh my, any rate. Well, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night, folks. For those that don't know, next week we'll be over on Rick over at the Fultz Bailey Model Railroad. As far as I know, he is doing next week. So yeah, no, what it is, John, is like I said, I did some yard work yesterday, and my sinuses are killing me, and I haven't felt 100% in the last 24 hours or so. So I think I just need to go get some sleep. So you all know the deal. Wait for the high ball. Green tracks ahead. Be safe. God bless. We will catch you all next time. We will see ya.